Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a beautiful and kind-hearted girl. But one day, her mother passed away, and her father remarried. Her stepmother was cruel, and she had 2 daughters just as wicked as she was. From that day on, the girl's life changed. Her stepmother and stepsisters treated her terribly. "You cannot sit with us at the table." One day, as she was cleaning, a glass fell to the floor. "Hurry and clean it up!" While her stepmother and stepsisters spent their days having fun, she was forced to stay home and do all the dirty housework. Everyone in the house called her Cinderella. When she got tired, she would sit by the fireplace, her cat curled in her lap, singing a soft, sorrowful tune as she dreamed of a day without sorrow, where happiness and love would find her.
One day soon, the stars will gleam, lighting pathways to my dream. No more sorrow, no more tears. Hope is shining, drawing near.
One morning, an invitation arrived from the palace. A grand ball was to be held in honor of the prince, and all the young women in the kingdom were invited. While her stepmother prepared her daughters for the ball, Cinderella had no choice but to help them. "You must be the most beautiful girls at the ball. The prince must like you," Cinderella asked. "Why can't I come?" Her stepsisters laughed. "You? Going to the ball?" When the day of the ball arrived, Cinderella was left home alone. She couldn't hold back her tears and began to cry. Suddenly, a bright light appeared in the chimney. Through the glow, a beautiful fairy appeared. Cinderella could hardly believe her eyes. It was her mother. "My darling, I've come to help you. You will go to the ball." "Really? But how?" "With my little help. Now bring me the biggest pumpkin from the garden and fetch me a cat. Hurry, and find 7 mice." With one wave of her magic wand, the fairy transformed the pumpkin into a magnificent carriage. Then she turned to the mice. One became the driver, and the other 6 turned into elegant white horses. Then the fairy waved her wand again, and Cinderella's rags turned into a dazzling gown. She looked just like a princess. "But Mother, I don't know how to dance. What if the prince asks me to?" The fairy smiled. "With these magic shoes, you will be the best dancer at the ball." Cinderella twirled in amazement. "You must dance with the prince. But remember, my dear, the magic will disappear at midnight. You must leave the ball before the clock strikes 12. "Thank you, Mother. I promise I'll be back before midnight. But will I see you again? I am always by your side." When Cinderella arrived at the palace, all eyes turned to her. Even her stepsisters didn't recognize her. And the prince, he was mesmerized by her beauty. The The king and queen smiled. Now that's what I call a princess. The prince approached her and asked for a dance. As they glided across the ballroom, Cinderella felt as if she were floating, thanks to her magic shoes. Her stepmother and stepsisters stared in shock, filled with jealousy. Cinderella was so happy, she didn't notice how quickly time had passed. Suddenly, she caught sight of the clock. It was almost midnight. She gasped and ran from the ballroom. As she hurried down the stairs, one of her magic shoes slipped from her foot. But there was no time to stop. She had to get home before the magic disappeared. The prince chased after her, but she was gone. All that remained was her glass slipper, lying on the stairs. Find the owner of this shoe at once. Search the entire kingdom if necessary. The prince's men traveled across the land, knocking on every door, but the shoe fit no one. Finally, they arrived at Cinderella's house. Her stepsisters were eager to try it on. "If you push a little harder, it'll fit," one of them insisted. "Yes, yes." Her feet are just swollen from walking so much, the stepmother added. But no matter how hard they tried, the shoe didn't fit. While this was happening, Cinderella was sadly singing in the kitchen. Her voice, full of sorrow, drifted through the air. Then, one of the prince's men, who was also nearby, noticed the voice and said, "There's someone else here. Let her try." The stepmother hesitated, but the prince's men called for Cinderella to step forward. As soon as she slipped on the shoe, it fit perfectly. "You must come to the palace at once. The prince is waiting for you." When Cinderella arrived, the prince immediately recognized her. He knelt down and took her hand. "Will you marry me, my princess?" Cinderella smiled, "Yes, with all my heart." And so, Cinderella and the prince were married, and they lived happily ever after. But wait. Cinderella turned to her mother's spirit and asked, "Mother, how did my shoe keep its magic?" The fairy smiled. "Because, my darling, I am always by your side." Cinderella's heart filled with joy. "Oh, Mother, it was you all along.